Ancient mystics knew the secret of inner light. You've seen the image 1,000 times, in stories and art from cultures separated by oceans and centuries. It's a glow around the head of a saint, an aura of energy surrounding a master. This idea of an inner light, a kind of brightness connected to life itself. We've called it a halo, life force, or even the soul. And for most of history, we've treated it as a beautiful metaphor. But what if it wasn't just a metaphor? What if your body, right now, is emitting a faint, invisible light? This isn't mysticism. It's a measurable biological phenomenon. And it's pushing science to ask some surprisingly spiritual questions, leading us to a fascinating crossroads where quantum physics and ancient wisdom seem to be looking at the same thing. Section 1. The luminous soul. The idea that we're somehow connected to light is baked into human thought. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato talked about the soul as an inner eye, one that could only perceive truth when it faced the light of truth and entity. Go back even further, and you'll find countless sacred texts describing light as the very foundation of existence. This wasn't just poetry. It was a deep-seated gut feeling that our consciousness, our awareness, our very being was luminous. For centuries, this idea stayed firmly in the world of philosophy and faith. It was a powerful symbol for enlightenment, but still just a symbol. Then, in the 20th century, a few quiet discoveries started to change the story. It began in the 1920s with a Russian scientist, Alexander Gurevich, who noticed cells seemed to be communicating in a way that chemistry alone couldn't explain. He had a wild theory. They were talking to each other using light. His work was mostly ignored for decades, but he was onto something huge. Science was about to find the faint echo of a glow inside every living thing. Section 2. The scientific glimmer of biophotons. Jump to today, and we have a name for what Gurevich suspected: biophotons. It turns out all living cells, yours included, emit an incredibly faint light. This isn't the heat you'd see with an infrared camera. This is actual light in the visible spectrum, just about 1,000 times less intense than what our eyes can detect. Using hypersensitive cameras that can register single photons, scientists have captured images of this human light emission. They've found it ebbs and flows with our daily rhythm, peaking in the afternoon. This faint light is believed to be a byproduct of the constant biochemical reactions in our cells. It is, in a very literal sense, the light of life. As an organism dies and its metabolic processes wind down, this light slowly fades out. But here's where the story goes from biology to a deep mystery. What's this light for? Is it just metabolic exhaust, or is it doing something? Some researchers, following the controversial work of physicist Fritz Albert Popp, have proposed that this light isn't random at all. Popp's early research suggested that biophotons might be coherent, organized almost like a laser. This has led to the highly speculative idea that our bodies might use this light as a kind of high-speed communication network. Now, this concept of a body-wide web of light is far from established science. The mainstream view is that our cells talk primarily through chemical and electrical signals. And yet, the whisper of this organized light remains, hinting that maybe there's another layer to our biology we're only just beginning to see. Section 3. The quantum brain? The mystery gets even stranger when we zoom into the architecture of our minds, our neurons. Inside our brain cells are microscopic hollow tubes called microtubules. For a long time, we thought they were just cellular scaffolding. But a radical and very controversial theory called orchestrated objective reduction, or OR, proposes something jaw-dropping. Developed by Nobel laureate physicist Sir Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, OR theory suggests these microtubules are the source of consciousness itself, and they don't operate in the classical world of biology, but in the weird and wonderful world of quantum mechanics. The theory basically says that consciousness emerges from quantum computations happening inside these tiny structures. For years, most neuroscientists dismissed the idea. The brain, they argued, is far too warm, wet, and messy for fragile quantum effects to survive. But the theory is getting a second look. While direct proof is still missing, some lab experiments on isolated microtubules have shown that when you shine light on them, certain quantum effects can last far longer than predicted. This suggests these biological structures might be surprisingly well suited for quantum operations. This research absolutely does not prove OR theory is correct, but it cracks the door open to a mind-bending possibility that our consciousness isn't just a product of neurons firing, but might be born from quantum processes that defy our everyday logic. It hints that our very awareness might be rooted in the same fundamental physics that governs light and energy. Section 4. The mysterious pineal gland. Right in the center of the brain, and often at the center of these theories, sits a tiny pine cone-shaped structure, the pineal gland. The 17th century philosopher René Descartes famously called it the principal seat of the soul. In spiritual circles, it's often called the third eye. But what does science actually say? First, let's clear up a few myths. The idea that the human pineal gland can literally see is not accurate. And the popular theory that it produces large amounts of the psychedelic DMT during mystical states is unproven and speculative. While tiny traces of DMT have been found in the brain, it's not nearly enough to produce a psychedelic experience. But the scientific truth is strange in its own right. The pineal gland's main job is producing melatonin, the hormone that runs our sleep-wake cycles. It's the body's master clock, and it has a unique structure. Unlike most of the brain, it isn't fully protected by the blood-brain barrier and gets a massive amount of blood flow. Even weirder, researchers have found tiny calcite microcrystals inside the gland. Nobody knows what these crystals are for. Some have speculated, and this is just a hypothesis, that their structure could make them sensitive to electromagnetic fields, like a tiny biological antenna. For now, it's another layer of mystery surrounding this enigmatic gland that bridges the rhythms of our body with light and darkness. Section 5. Beyond the brain. The hunt for the source of consciousness is increasingly leading scientists to look beyond just the brain. Take the heart. Research from the HeartMath Institute, which is considered outside the scientific mainstream, has explored the powerful electromagnetic field generated by the heart. They propose this field carries information that helps synchronize the body. While their further claims about this field affecting our intuition and consciousness lack robust scientific support, they are based on the measurable fact that the heart sends powerful signals to the brain. This leads to a profound philosophical question. What if the brain isn't so much a generator of consciousness, but more of a receiver? This is a philosophical idea, not a scientific fact, but it's a powerful one. It reframes consciousness not as something our brains make, but as something we tune into. In this speculative model, light itself, the photon, could be the fundamental carrier of experience. It's a perspective that sees consciousness not as some fluke of biology, but as an intrinsic property of the universe, one that our biological hardware has evolved to receive and interpret. Conclusion. So are we, as the ancient mystics intuited, literally beings of light? As science stands today, the answer is no. That term is misleading. The light our bodies produce is an ultra-weak, invisible byproduct of being alive, not a brilliant spiritual aura. And yet, that ancient metaphor has led us to a stunning new reality. We've discovered that we are woven together with light in ways we're only just beginning to understand. Our bodies emit it. Our cells might just communicate with it. And deep in the quantum architecture of our brains, the very physics of light may be what allows us to have a single conscious thought. The parallels are hard to ignore. The ancient idea of an inner light and the modern discovery of biophotons. Science isn't proving the mystics were right. It's more like mystics and scientists, in their own unique ways, are staring at different faces of the same deep and luminous mystery. The metaphor may not have been literal, but it might have been a profound intuition, a recognition that life and consciousness itself is far more radiant than we ever imagined.